Sutta number 7. Monks, in the Himalayas, the king of mountains, there are rugged and uneven zones where neither monkeys nor human beings can go. There are rugged and uneven zones where monkeys can go but not human beings. Then there are even and delightful regions where both monkeys and human beings can go. There, along the monkey trails, hunters set up traps of pitch for catching monkeys. Those monkeys who are not foolish and frivolous, when they see the pitch, avoid it from afar. But a monkey who is foolish and frivolous approaches the pitch and seizes it with his hand. He gets caught there. Thinking, I will free my hand, he seizes it with his other hand. He gets caught there. Thinking, I will free both hands, he seizes it with his foot. He gets caught there. Thinking, I will free both hands and my foot, he seizes it with his other foot. He gets caught there. Thinking, I will free both hands and feet, he applies his muzzle to it. He gets caught there. Thus, monks, that monkey, trapped at 5 points, lies there screeching. He has met with calamity and disaster, and the hunter can do with him as he wishes. The hunter spears him, fastens him to that same block of wood, and goes off where he wants. So it is, monks, when one strays outside one's own resort into the domain of others. Therefore, monks, do not stray outside your own resort into the domain of others. Mara will gain access to those who stray outside their own resort into the domain of others. Mara will get a hold on them. And what is not a monk's own resort but the domain of others? It is the 5 cords of sensual pleasure. This is not a monk's own resort but the domain of others. Move in your own resort, monks, in your own ancestral domain. Mara will not gain access to those who move in their own resort, in their own ancestral domain. Mara will not get a hold on them. And what is a monk's resort? His own ancestral domain. This is the 4 intense states of mindfulness. What for? Here, monks, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, etc. Feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma. So here you see, this hunter, he wants to catch the monkey. He puts a block of wood there and puts some fruits. And then the wood, he puts all this tar, this pitch, which is very sticky. Last time when I was a small boy, so I used to catch birds. I burn the rubber and put it on the stick. So this monkey goes to that fruit, and then he wants to eat, puts one hand and gets caught. And then he puts the other hand to free the first hand, both hands get caught. And then he puts his leg, both legs, and puts his mouth also gets caught. So these 5 things represent, the 5 points represent the 5 senses. Mara can catch us at the 5 senses. So we have to be careful when you see a pretty girl or a handsome man. That's why the practice of Satipatthana is to divorce ourselves from the world and put it, concentrate. Actually, the 4 objects of Satipatthana is basically body and mind plus the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the Buddha's teachings. Here they translate actually, the Dhamma they translate as phenomena. But later I will explain to you, it cannot be phenomena, it must be the Buddha's teachings, Dhamma. The 8th Sutta, monks, suppose a foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook were to present a king or a royal minister with various kinds of curries, sour, bitter, pungent, sweet, sharp, mild, salty, bland. That foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not pick up the sign of his own master's preference. Today this curry pleased my master, or he reached for this one, or he took a lot of this one, or he spoke in praise of this one, or the sour curry pleased my master today, or he reached for the sour one, or he took a lot of the sour one, or he spoke in praise of the sour one, or bitter one, or pungent one, or sweet, or mild, or sharp curry, or salty curry, or bland. That foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not gain gifts of clothing, wages, and bonuses. For what reason? Because that foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not pick up the sign of his own master's preference. So too monks, Here some foolish, incompetent, unskillful monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. While he dwells contemplating the body in the body, his mind does not become concentrated. His corruptions are not abandoned. He does not pick up that sign. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma. And his mind does not become concentrated. His corruptions, meaning the 5 hindrances, are not abandoned. He does not pick up that sign. That foolish, incompetent, unskillful monk does not gain pleasant dwellings in this very life, nor does he gain mindfulness and clear comprehension. For what reason? Because monks, that foolish, incompetent, unskillful monk, does not pick up the sign of his own mind. And then the other way around, following this, the Buddha gives the simile of the competent, skillful cook who cooks for the king or the minister, and then he takes a note now what the king or the minister likes to eat, and then he cooks that food, and then he gets his bonus. So in the same way, Buddha says that some wise, competent, skillful monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, and then as he practices this Satipatthana, his mind becomes concentrated, his corruptions are abandoned, he picks up that sign. So here actually what the Buddha is trying to say is that just as the cook, he has to note what his master likes to eat. So I think what the Buddha is trying to say is that when we practice meditation, we have to observe our mind. What type of object of meditation does our mind incline to? Sometimes we practice in types of meditation, our mind does not like that type of meditation. So, for example, anapanasati, not everybody can practice anapanasati. It's a very subtle object. So, you have to find the type of meditation that suits you. Chanting is a very simple one. In fact, the first meditation taught by the Buddha was the 32 parts of the body where you chant. It's simple. So, you have to note the signs in your mind, what type of meditation your mind inclines to, and also what time of the day you meditate best, and then under what conditions, other conditions, like whatever food suits you, it's good for your meditation. What type of supplements or what gives you that energy to meditate better and all that. So you have to be very sharp. You notice, then you practice in the right way, then your mind should become concentrated. Here he says, if the monk, the unskillful monk, he does not get concentration, then he is not practicing mindfulness and clear comprehension. That means he is not practicing sati and sampajanya. Although he thinks that he is practicing sati and sampajanya, but if he does not end up with the jhanas, then he is not practicing sati and sampajanya. A lot of people, they don't study the suttas. Actually, Buddhist meditation is stated by Venerable Ananda in the Majjhima Nikaya. Somebody asked Venerable Ananda, what type of meditation is praised by the Buddha? And Venerable Ananda said, the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana. Only this is Buddhist meditation, nothing else. So if you practice the type of meditation and you don't end up with the jhanas, that is not Buddhist meditation at all. Unfortunately, some monks, they say the Buddha practiced this vipassana meditation. And jhanas are external ascetic practices. That's either a total lie or is very ignorant of the suttas. Because in the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha, in one sutta, the Buddha told his monks, if anybody asks what type of meditation the Buddha practiced, the Buddha said, you tell them the Buddha practiced anapanasati. And the Buddha said, before the Tathagata was enlightened, he practiced anapanasati. And after he was enlightened, he also practices anapanasati. So the Buddha's meditation is anapanasati, not vipassana. Vipassana in the suttas, there is no such thing as vipassana meditation in the suttas. Vipassana is only means contemplation. When you listen to the Dhamma and then you contemplate, you can become enlightened. Vipassana meditation only started about 30 or 40 years ago with Mahasi Sayadaw. And when he started it, he knew it was not the Buddha's method. That's why nobody called it the Buddha's method. People call it the Mahasi method of meditation. And following that, your Goenka and all that. And it has become very popular because you don't need to practice jhana. You don't need to attain jhana. That's what they say. So here you can see the Buddha says very clearly in this sutta, if the skillful monk practices Satipatthana correctly, his mind must become concentrated. The hindrances must go away. So if a person practices and does not get the jhanas, he is not practicing Satipatthana. Samyutta Nikaya 47.20, the 20th sutta. The sutta is called the most beautiful girl of the land. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living among the Sumbas, where there was a town of the Sumbas named Sadaka. There the Blessed One addressed the monks. Monks, Venerable Sir, the monks replied. The Blessed One said this, monks, suppose on hearing the most beautiful girl of the land, a great crowd of people would assemble. Now that most beautiful girl of the land would dance exquisitely and sing exquisitely. On hearing the most beautiful girl of the land is dancing, the most beautiful girl of the land is singing, an even larger crowd of people would assemble. Then a man would come along, wishing to live, not wishing to die, wishing for happiness, averse to suffering. Someone would say to him, good man, you must carry around this bowl of oil filled to the brim between the crowd and the most beautiful girl of the land. A man with a drawn sword will be falling right behind you, and wherever you spill even a little of it, right there he will fell your head. What do you think, monks? Would that man stop attending to that bowl of oil out of negligence turn his attention outwards? No, Venerable Sir. I have made up this simile, monks, in order to convey a meaning. This here is the meaning. The bowl of oil filled to the brim. This is a designation for mindfulness directed to the body. Therefore, monks, you should train yourselves thus. We will cultivate and develop mindfulness directed to the body. Make it our vehicle, make it our basis. Stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus, monks, should you train yourselves. So here, the Buddha is telling us how the practice of Satipatthana should be done. That means you put your attention on one object and only one object all the time and nothing else until the mind becomes concentrated, becomes one-pointed. Right? Unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of people are taught that the practice of Satipatthana has nothing to do with jhana, nothing to do with samadhi, but this opposite of what the sutta say. Sutta number 28. One day the Venerable Sariputta said to the Venerable Anuruddha, by having developed and cultivated what things has the Venerable Anuruddha attained to greatness of direct knowledge? Actually in the Pali Text Society they say attained to great super knowledge or great supernormal power. And then the sutta says mighty magic power and majesty. And then Venerable Anuruddha replied, it is, friend, because I have developed and cultivated the 4 intense states of mindfulness that I have attained to greatness of direct knowledge. What for? Here, friend, I dwell contemplating the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, clearly comprehending, etc. It is, friend, because I have developed and cultivated these 4 intense states of mindfulness that I directly know this 1000-fold world system. In some other suttas, Venerable Anuruddha is said to be able to see the 1000-fold worlds like in the palm of his hand. In other words, he is like a great, huge giant looking at the 10,000 world systems like in the palm of his hand. So his great psychic power, he says, is directly due to Satipatthana. And we know that psychic power is always due to the jhanas. Only after you have attained the 4 jhanas or higher that you can get psychic power. But here he says it is due to Satipatthana. So you can see here evidently Satipatthana has everything to do with the jhanas. If you practice Satipatthana correctly, it must end up with the jhanas. Otherwise, you are not practicing it in a skillful way, right? The 42nd Sutta of the Satipatthana Samyutta. Monks, I will teach you the origination and the passing away of the 4 intense states of mindfulness. Listen to that. And what, monks, is the origination of the body? With the origination of nutriment, there is the origination of the body. With the cessation of nutriment, there is the passing away of the body. With the origination of contact, there is the origination of feeling. With the cessation of contact, there is the passing away of feeling. With the origination of name and form, nama rupa, there is the origination of mind. With the cessation of name and form, there is the passing away of mind. With the origination of attention, there is the origination of Dhamma. With the cessation of attention, there is the passing away of Dhamma. So here, the Buddha is saying that body arises because of nutriment, because of food, and body ceases when there is no food. And then for feelings, contact, you must have contact at the 6 sense doors, or one of the 6 sense doors, then feeling arises. And when then there is no contact, feeling passes away. And then for mind to start, you must have nama rupa. Nama rupa is phenomena that is present to vijnana. When vijnana consciousness arises, it arises together with nama rupa. So nama rupa actually is the object of consciousness. Object of consciousness can be physical or mental. So nama rupa is phenomena. But here they translate Dhamma as phenomena, so it cannot be correct. If by phenomena you mean nama rupa, then it cannot be correct, because nama rupa is already in the third one. Nama rupa is the origination of mind. And if you say that phenomena refers to thoughts, also cannot be correct, because thoughts is also part of nama rupa. Thoughts is also an object of consciousness, right? So it must only be Dhamma. Why? Because in the Satipatthana, out of the 4 objects actually of Satipatthana, actually Dhamma is the most important. Why? Because in the Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 5.26, the Buddha says there are 5 times or 5 occasions when a person becomes an arahant, becomes liberated. One is listening to the Dhamma. Another one is teaching the Dhamma. Third one is repeating the Dhamma. The 4th one is reflecting on the Dhamma. And the last one is during meditation, when he contemplates on the Samadhi Nimitta. So you see, out of these 5 occasions of liberation, 4 are concerned with the Dhamma, meaning the Buddha's teachings, listening to the Dhamma and teaching, etc. So since the Dhamma is so important for liberation, so Dhamma in this Satipatthana must refer to the Buddha's teaching. That's why in the Maha Satipatthana Sutta, or in the Satipatthana Sutta, when Dhamma is referred to, there are various categories of Dhamma that the Buddha taught, the 5 hindrances, the 4 noble truths, the 7 bojjhanga, etc. These are all the Buddha's teachings. Another sutta is Samyutta Nikaya 46.1.3. The Buddha said, dwelling thus withdrawn, one recollects that Dhamma and thinks it over. Whenever monks, a monk dwelling thus withdrawn, recollects that Dhamma and thinks it over, on that occasion the enlightenment factor or bojjhanga of mindfulness or recollection is aroused by the monk. On that occasion, the monk develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. On that occasion, the enlightenment factor of mindfulness comes to fulfillment by development in the monk. So here, when the Buddha talks about the 7 bojjhanga, and one of them is Dhamma Vichaya, investigation of Dhamma. And that refers to the Buddha's teachings. So here you can see that Dhamma refers to the Buddha's teachings, not to phenomena. Okay, that's all I have to say about the sutras in the Satipatthana Samyutta. One other thing I'd like to say here is that in practicing Satipatthana, there are two ways of practice. One is just being aware, and the other one is to contemplate and think about it. For example, just now the sutta I just read where the Buddha says, when you recollect the Dhamma, one recollects that Dhamma and thinks it over. So when you contemplate and reflect on the Dhamma, you can think about it. Whereas at other times, you're just aware without thinking. For example, your feelings arise in your mind, or your thoughts arise, your perceptions arise. You're just aware of it. Don't think further. Just see that it arises and passes away. Especially feelings, because we are very attached to our feelings. When we have a good feeling, we want to hold on to it. We call that happy feeling. We say we are happy, and then when painful or unpleasurable feelings arise, we say we suffer and we want to get rid of it. Whereas if we just notice it arising and we know that it's going to pass away, and just wait for it to pass away, and then we don't become attached to it. So there are two ways to practice. One is to just bear awareness, the other one is to contemplate and think about it.